Hello, hello, and welcome to Wicked Journals. I'm Eileen, and today we're going to do some card making. It's almost Valentine's Day as I'm recording this. It's just in a couple weeks, and I'm hoping to do a craft show, so I wanted to make some cards. And I purchased my card bases. You can make them out of cardstock. It doesn't matter, really. I prefer a thicker card base than just the cheap ones that you can buy. So sometimes I do make my own. But these ones I really love. And it's a pretty thick card base, and I got it off of Amazon. And I love doing the black cards. And I love making cards with the scraps from my journal making. And so today we're just going to make some of these. These are the 5.5 by 4 1/4 size, and it just has a little mini envelope with hearts. And I was going to put the sentiment "sending love" or "sending my love" or something on here, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to leave it like that and let people write their own message. And so that's what I did. And on these smaller ones, the covers or the cards look like this. And I really enjoy making the inside something special as well. And so I have the hearts on the inside, and then I usually make the envelope to match. And so that's what these look like. The hearts are not exactly the same colors on each one in the same, order as far as the shades of pink on those, but the design is the same on these. Okay, and then on the black ones, I did one like this, where the hearts are, or the envelopes rather, are all in a line. I like to tilt the hearts a little bit. You could put them in a straight line if you wanted to. But I did 3 different designs on the envelopes, stripes and little dots, and like a, I don't know what to call that, but those are little hearts. And then on the inside, because these are black, I put a writing mat, and then again those hearts to make it a little special on the inside. And again, I made the envelope match. So that's this one, and then the rest of them I staggered the envelopes on the cover and just kind of threw the hearts on there, and then the inside has the writing mat again with with the hearts, and then again the matching envelope. And then I did 2 with pink card bases, just to show you, if you have pink cardstock and that's what you want to make your base out of, it still looks fine. It still looks good. And then these are white on the inside, but I still put a little colored writing mat with the hearts on the side in both of these. All right, so I'm just going to show you how I put these together, and we're just going to do a couple together. I just kind of mass made them a little bit, and so I have this paper that actually was supposed to be wedding paper, but I got the paper packs a long time ago and they were super cheap, and so I thought, you know what, these are kind of cute, we can just use them for our Valentine's cards. I've already punched out my hearts because I didn't want you guys to have to listen to me punching out all these hearts. So I just have this set of 3 hearts that is, large, medium, small, and so I just punched some hearts out from varying shades of pink cardstock. And to do these, I did remove the bottom of these punches. They come with the bottom on them like this, so that when you punch your shape out, it stays in there instead of flying off into the wild blue yonder and you don't know where it went. And the reason I do that is because I like to make the best use of the cardstock as possible, and so I like to see where the paper's going. See how you can see where the other punch was, and so I can just move it until it's going to get a whole heart, and then I just do that in my hand and punch it out. But then on the other sizes, I can get a medium out of that. And I could get several mediums, and then I could get some smalls out of this space down here. And so I really do use as much of this cardstock as possible when I'm punching the shapes out. Okay, but I've pre-punched those out, so you guys don't have to listen to me punching them all out, although you just listened to a couple. At least you didn't listen to all of them. I'm just going to scoot those out of the way because I'm going to put my paper cutter here. And for the envelopes, I'm using mini envelope punch board. This is a We Are Memory Keepers punch board, and it has this little tiny adorable bone folder. It's the cutest thing I think I've ever seen. And it slides in there. If you've never used a punch board before, I love these. I use them all the time, but it's not necessary. You can make an envelope just folding your square of paper into whatever shape you need it to be in. But I like to use these because it gives me uniform envelopes that are the same sizes for my cards. So for this project, I am actually making a 1" by 2" an envelope that would fit a 1" by 2" card. And so for that, we need 2 7/8 by 2 7/8 square of paper to make that envelope with this punch board. And so I'm just going to stick this paper in here and cut it at 2 7/8. And it does not have to be perfect because, you know, it's an envelope, so it's going to be a little bit forgiving as if you don't cut it exact on the measurement. So I'm just going to cut these out, and each one of these, I think these are 8 by 8 papers that I have here, and so I can get 4 envelopes out of an 8 by 8 piece of paper. So I'm just cutting these down because, like I said, I was mass making some, and I can go ahead and just make one with you guys and then make some more to take to the show. So, and I'm debating, I was trying to think about, is it better to go to a show that's the weekend before, or because Valentine's Day this year in 2026 is on a Saturday, and so is it better to go the week before or catch those last minute shoppers? So I don't know. I don't want to do it both weekends because it's a little much when I work full time and, you know, have my family and household responsibilities, and it's just a lot to go to a show. So, okay, there's 2. And these I tore out of the booklet, and so this at one edge is a little rough, and so I'm making sure that I'm not using that edge on my envelopes. So, you know, and even if you're not going to a show, you might like to make several to send to pen pals and friends, family members. You know, you're not necessarily making 500 of them. You're just, you know, maybe 10, a dozen, whatever. I have, I think, half a dozen pen pals, so, you know, I can send them to them and my friends and family. And if I'm not going to, if I decide not to go to a show or whatever, I can put them on my online shop. You know, whatever works. Okay, so I've got my little 2 7/8 by 2 7/8 squares of paper. I don't know why I have those. Okay, and so on this punch board, it will have this little chart that shows you for your card size, you need this size paper, and when you start out, you need to score it at this line. So for mine, for the 1" by 2" size card, for the 2 7/8 by 2 7/8 paper, I need to score at 1 3/4. So I'm just going to pull out my bone folder, and I am going to put the left edge of my paper on that 1 3/4. I'm going to punch the punch, and you have to feel for this line under the paper. Don't score too hard or you're going to rip your paper. Okay, and so it does a little punch, and you can see the little score line. And so this score line right here, I'm going to line up with this little leg right here. Okay, so the first time you use the measurement that is on the chart, so 1 3/4, that's where we lined it up, punched, and scored. And then you turn it, rotate it to the left, and we're going to line up that score line with this little leg right here. Okay, and you're going to punch and score. Turn it to the left again, line it, your score line up with that little leg, punch, and score. Okay, and one more time, rotate to the left, line up with your leg, punch, and score. Okay, and that gives you your lines where you're going to fold your envelope. Okay, and then you want to throw away the little punched out pieces. The super cool thing about these punch boards that I absolutely love is when you punch the little notches out right here on the front side and you're scoring your lines. Okay, awesome. You can turn it then, and there is a corner rounder on the back. So you can put your corners in there and punch, and it rounds that corner. So you have rounded corners on those flaps. You don't have to round your corners, but I'd like to. I think it makes it look a lot more professional. I just like how it looks. Okay, and the other thing about these envelopes, and this depends on the type of paper that you're using. Okay, so when you fold these flaps in, okay, so I just folded each side in. All right, and here's my envelope. What you're going to notice is that it's hard to see the envelope lines because the paper all kind of blends into each other, right? So you're going to want to ink these corners to make it stand out. I'm using a gray ink that it's just some kind of generic ink that I got off of Temu or something, I think. And I am just going to come in here and lightly ink these edges with this nice gray shade. I love using different colored inks to ink my edges. I love color, and so I don't typically do the classic junk journal vintage like browns, but I will, and I do, but it's just I like color as well. So I like to do themed journals that use color and ribbon. It's the junk journal style where you've got stuff sticking out everywhere like my hair usually looks, but it has color. Okay, and so the other thing that we're going to want to do is once we fold this up as an envelope, okay, I'm going to ink these edges as well, so it just stands out from the card background no matter what color card base you're using. Okay, especially if you're using a pink, that is going to kind of blend in with with our little envelope. Okay, I got one of these. I got stuff sticking on my tape dispenser here. Okay, let's get you guys back over here. All right, so now we have our one little envelope. Okay, and what we're going to do is just glue the flaps in. You can do a couple of different things with your envelopes on your cards. And so I am just going to open this, And we're just gonna look at how this looks on here. Okay, we're gonna glue the side flaps in. And this is, I'm using my Barely Art Precision Glue. Fancy. Okay, and I'm just gonna flatten that down. I do have a little microfiber cloth that I use to wipe up excess glue. And then these are washable, of course. Okay, and I just tuck it into my little rolly cart over here next to me. Okay, so we have this envelope, okay, and on these cards, I have staggered them like this, okay, or put them in a nice little line, okay, but you could also put this envelope on here with the flap open and even have one heart in here and put some extras out here, right? I mean, you can do however you want to do it, right? I mean, you could do it like that. So, and then you'd only have one envelope on here instead of the 3 that are on the ones that I showed you. And it would be similar to this one, but it would be open, obviously. So let's just make this one like that so we can see what we think. And this is just a plain, it's not as heavy as I would like it to be, but it's, you know, they're card bases that I bought off of Amazon. And we're just gonna glue this guy on there. I thought about cutting off the flap part and flipping it around so the flap would have, you know, the patterned paper, but I'm just gonna do it like this. I'm not gonna make things more difficult than they need to be. I don't know. Let me know if you make how you do yours. So there we go. We got some glue on there, and I'm gonna stick this guy down by the corner. Right, and then we can just stick our hearts however we want. You could even have one like partially in there. Right? I think I'm gonna put one like on the flap, maybe like that, and then let's see, let's do it medium pink, like that, and then a pale pink one. How about that? And then if you wanted to, that way you have all of this over here to put a sentiment. Sending love, sending lots of love, sending my love, whatever you want to put on there. I like to use my little crafting tweezers to put the hearts on because I don't want to get glue all over my fingers, first of all, which I do anyway, but I want to make sure that I'm placing it right. And I can turn the angle and whatever I want here. So let's just put this guy like that. Okay. And it keeps them clean too, because as you're working you might have like glue build up on your fingers and stuff, and it keeps it off of what you're making when you use the tweezers. So let's just make this guy here. And this guy is so small. He's tiny, little baby. I'm just gonna put that guy up there. And then I can use my microfiber, and I just kind of wrap it around my finger and just kind of blot like that. You can see there's, yeah. Just kind of blot, and then, you know, any excess will come off on your microfiber. And you can use it for quite a while before you have to wash it. And I got these off. It was like a pack of 50 for like 20 bucks or something on Amazon. So, okay, so here's that. And, you know, you could put another envelope and hearts going meeting, like two people and their love meets in the middle. You know, whatever, something like that. And so then on the inside, this one's white, so we don't have to put a writing mat. You can if you want to. I'm just gonna put some hearts on the inside. And just plop that guy down. And let's use, oops. Let's use this one. Do 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 do. All right, and stick that guy right, and just put a little tiny guy on there. Alright, and there you go. Oops, get out of there. There you go, that card is done. And then the envelope, I'm just gonna put, you know, you could put another little envelope here with the hearts. I just put hearts on the outside, just like we did on the inside of the card. So I'm just gonna grab this guy. And again, you can put them in a straight line. You can put them however you want, you know. Some people like them straight. I like them to be a little, you know, like they're floating, so they're kind of pointing in different directions, you know. We were driving through Astoria, Oregon today, and people were blowing bubbles in downtown. They were pretty big, too. It was cute. All right. And stick that guy on there. Now, for the writing mats, if I put a writing mat inside the card, I typically will use the tape runner for that. Just because it's on the inside of the card and the tape potentially is less bulky when they're writing on it than it would be to put glue on there. And I only put it around the edges, I don't put it in the middle. But on the outside of the envelope especially, I'm going to use glue, because if they're shipping this, I want those hearts to be on there when they receive their card. So just a couple of tips for you there. You can use double-sided tape on cards. Typically people are not going to keep cards for, you know, 50 years or whatever, but you know, use what works for you. And these envelopes that come with the card bases are pretty thin and chintzy, so that's why I like to decorate them up a little bit. Make sure they're, you know, they feel like they get what they're paying for. So there's that. All right, let's make a couple more envelopes. Let's make a striped envelope. And again, we're starting on that 1 3/4. Punch, score, rotate to the left, line up your previous score line with the little leg, punch, and score. We'll rotate to the left, line up your previous score line with the leg, punch, and score. And rotate to the left, line up your previous score line with the leg, punch, and score. Then you turn it. You could also use another corner rounder if you find this one awkward or whatever. You know, it doesn't matter. You can just use your own corner rounder or the one that comes on the back. Either way. All right. So I'm going to put this guy to the side, and then I'm going to ink this baby up. I have to admit, I do not enjoy inking, but I find that, especially with stuff like this, where it makes it hard to see that it's like an envelope unless you ink the edges, because it really adds that definition to the flaps. And so people can see, oh, that's an envelope. You could use a pink. I have this Distress Oxide Saltwater Taffy. I could have used that, and I will on some of them. And let's see, I'm just going to fold this, fold in the side flaps, fold up the bottom flap, and I tend to glue my side flaps over that bottom flap to make my envelope. Like this, you know, like this. But you could fold the top flap over those bottom flaps, and then you'd have a bigger bottom flap here. And then you could decorate it even. You could put little flowers or hearts or whatever on there. You could decorate it no matter how you fold it. So actually, let's do that. Let's do it this way. I'm gonna glue that bottom flap like that. Okay. And I actually have a little tiny flower punch here. See if I can find it without being super noisy. Too late. Okay, here it is. And I have a little leaf punch also. These punches I got at Daiso for just a couple bucks a piece. So let's do a bright pink flower. These are a little harder to punch without setting it down on something hard. And my hands are not as strong as they used to be, so because I have arthritis now because I'm an old lady. I'm just going to do this because it's driving me crazy. Did that punch? There we go. Okay, so we have this little flower. I'm going to put that guy there. And then I can just grab a green scrap and punch that guy out. And stick it underneath. Looky there. How cute is that? There's a little flower with a leaf. And let's see, we could even make it super special and put, let's see, should we put some blingy bling on it? So we have our blingy blings. We could put a clear one. Should we put a pink one? Let's do a pink one. I dropped them on the floor. Okay, how about like one of these? Let's do the bright pink one. Okay, so I'm gonna glue these down. Excuse me. I'm gonna glue these guys down. All right, and actually I'm gonna put this leaf, boop, right there. Okay, and then I'm gonna take this flower. You could curl up the engines. You could curl up the edges if you wanted to. But since it's gonna be in a card that might be shipped, it's gonna get flattened anyway, so I'm just gonna leave it flat. All right. And there's that guy. And let's see, I'm just going to glue that just like that. I mean, just that right there is pretty cute on this little envelope. Oh, look at that guy. It's pretty cute, right? But yeah, let's go ahead and put, should we put the yellow one or the pink? Let's do pink. Okay. And we're just gonna actually use my placement tool here. Make sure we get that in the center, right in the middle. Okay. All right. That is pretty darn cute, right? That is pretty cute. Okay, so I'm going to use a black card base for this one. And in case you didn't know this, when you order card bases that are flat, there are two sides to the score line, the valley and the mountain. You always want to fold with the mountain score line, the mountain part of the score line, to the inside. Okay, so you want the valley, the part that goes in, to be on the outside. If you do it that way, especially with thick cardstock, you'll get a lot less breaking on the fold. Okay, and this is pretty thick cardstock, so I'm gonna give it a nice burnish there. And you can see that it still kind of pops up a little bit, which makes it annoying to make a card. So what I do is I put a little piece of scrap paper and a little clip. The scrap paper keeps the, I don't know if you can see that, but the clip makes little pokey marks. And so I don't want that on my card. So I just put the paper there to protect the card and then put the clip on, and then that holds it closed so that I can, makes it a little easier to work with. Now we can put this little guy, that is such a cute little envelope. And let's see, we can put boop and just build up a little exploding heart here. I'm gonna put a couple. I think this deserves more hearts, don't you? Like that. Okay, and then let's find some tiny ones. Actually, let's put this one, that bright pink. And then we can put, there are 4 colors, and sometimes I am like, which one is which? Okay, how about that? That is super cute. So let's glue those down. Do. Right. Yep, I did it upside down, didn't I? There we go. And we'll just go bloop. Got a little extra glue there, so I'm just gonna blot it off, give it a light wipe. And here we go. We're gonna put this guy on there. Okay. I did it backwards on that one too. What's wrong with me today? We were driving along today, and or the other day rather, and we like to take little drives. And we were out in the country, and there were some animals in the yard, and I said, "Oh look, chigs and pickens." I switched the front letters in my words a lot for some reason. I don't know. I'm not dyslexic, so I don't know. My brain's tired, I guess. Let's go stick that guy on there. And I'm going to put this envelope where we want it to go. Boop. As Julie would say from Camellia Crafts. Whee! She hasn't posted in a while. I hope she's okay. Okay. And we're just gonna, that turned out really so cute. I'm really quite pleased with that. Got a little glue escaping there, so just do that. And let's put this guy on. Hey, get out of here. My husband's dog is shopping in my garbage for something to chew on. Okay. There we go. And I like it just kind of like that, right? Super cute, right? And because this is a black card, I'm gonna put, look at how cute that is. So cute. I'm gonna put the writing mat on the inside, and I have some cut over here already from some of that same paper from that set. And I'm gonna use, this is Tombow Mono permanent adhesive, and I buy the refills and just use the same thing, of course, except I was kind of surprised because the refills on those, I got a dog hair on here. The refills on those are almost the whole thing. Like, I expected it to be, you know, just a little cartridge that goes in there, but actually this is the refill. Like, the entire side of the tape is the refill. So I was like, oh, okay. Not really saving the world much plastic there. And this one actually gums up quite a bit when I'm using it. And I don't know if it's just me or what, but I find it a little more difficult to use. I actually really love the AdTech tape runner. I get it at Hobby Lobby, but they didn't have any refills, so I had to get that one. Okay. I'm just going to put this guy right there, and we're going to throw some hearts on the inside. Oh, this heart punched out a little weird. It's got some hanger-ons there on the edge. There we go. All right, we'll glue this bad boy down and put that on there. And then we'll take a medium-sized heart. Put that on there. Boop, 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 boop. And a little tiny guy. Beep. Hello, I'm a little tiny heart. There we go. And boop. Okay, we've got some little glue seepage there, so just go and wipe that off. Boop, 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 boop. And we could, you know, we have this cute little flower here. We could put a little flower here on the corner. I think I'll put this on the envelope. Maybe not with the sparkly bit though, because I think that would come off in the mail. But we could do the flower with the leaf. We sure could do that. So let's do that. Where's my little flower punch? This thing was hard to punch. I just haven't used it very much, I guess. Let's see. Maybe I could do it this way. There we go. Boop. And my leaf. Bam! All right. And these card bases came with black envelopes, so we can just stick this cute little guy on there. And I had somebody ask me at a show I was at before Christmas last year, how am I supposed to write in this journal that has black pages? And if you don't know, there are white gel pens, metallic gel pens. This is a silver. Gold would look really nice on here. So they do have those pens that look nice on the black. There we go. And we'll stick this guy right like that. There we go. And now it matches our card. Bloop. Nice. Very cute. So now I want to make another one, and I want to ink the envelope with this saltwater taffy. Here. Put that one on. All right. Oops, get back there. Okay, so let's go ahead and make this envelope and see how that different colored ink looks on there. Okay, so same size paper, 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. We're going to score it 1 3/4. Pinch, score. Turn to the left, line up the score line with the leg, pinch, score, rotate to the left, line up the score line with the leg, pinch, score, turn to the left, line up the score line with the leg, pinch, and score. And I'm going to round those points. There we go. Easy peasy. And I'm going to throw these little pieces away. Put my scoring tool back in the holder. And let's see what this looks like. Again, this is the Tim Holtz Ranger Distress Oxide in saltwater taffy. And let's just ink up our dauber here. And, oh yeah, that looks nice. Look at that. That looks nice on there. I like that. I almost wish I'd have done it instead of the gray, but it looks good. It's kind of a coral pink, which matches with this paper nicely. Okay. And then we're going to fold these flappity doodahs in. Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. There we go. And ink the edges. All right. Good to go with that guy. Now, should we decorate this envelope as well? I don't know. I thought that last one ended up pretty darn cute, so let's decorate this one a little differently, though. Let's put, what should we do? Well, let's glue the flaps first. Right. Okay. And since we did that, I'm going to add a little bit of that same color ink to the inside of the flap here and the fold. There we go. Yeah, that looks nice. Okay, so here's our little envelope. And I'm going to put it on one of the 5.5 by 4 1/4 card bases. Again, these are pre-scored, so you can see This is the mountain side where it sticks up. This is the valley side where it's indented. And so we're gonna fold it with the mountain fold, the mountain part of the score line to the inside. Okay, here we go. And it comes with envelopes. And these are a bit better than the other card bases that I used earlier. The black ones are like really good quality. They're thick and sturdy, all that. All right, so we're just gonna kind of do the same thing here, but I think what I would like to do is maybe put a couple of hearts on here. I mean, we could do a little flower in hearts and put a gem on the inside. I think that might be cute. Let's see how that looks. Oh yeah, that's cute. Let's do that and then put a little gem on the inside. Okay, cool. Let's do that. I'm gonna glue the envelope down so it's not moving around while I'm trying to form that flower there. I almost hate to glue these down like that because most of the decorated paper is being glued down, you know, but that's what we're doing. So I'm gonna put this guy over here to the side. All right, and we have our tiny little hearts that are gonna be our flower petals. And I am just gonna start these off. And I'm getting glue all over my fingers. That's okay. It's all in the name of art, right? I'm gonna put this guy down here. Whoop. Get in there. There we go. Okay. And petal number 3. There we go. Petal number 3 is just gonna go right there. Oh, we got some seepage on that one. Get that up. There we go. And you know, if the center of your little hearts, if you're gonna do like a little heart flower like this, if they don't line up 100%, don't worry about it because you're gonna put a little gem in the middle, right? So it won't even be noticeable. Okay. And the 4th one, I'm just gonna tuck right in there. That's pretty cute. I've done that with St. Patrick's Day cards too, where I made a 4-leaf clover out of hearts, and that was pretty cute too. All right, so let's get a gem over here. I think I'm going to use that bright pink again. And I have to break those apart because this is one line. They're all attached. They're attached to each other. They don't want to be separated. Okay, let's pop that guy down. There we go. My little sticky pen left sticky on. Okay. There we go. And there is our little envelope. Look how cute that is. Super, super cute. So we're gonna do our hearts just like we did on the others. Sending love. I know, don't give up my day job. Okay. And we're gonna, hello, I can't pick it up. There we go. We're gonna glue these bad boys down. Do, 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 do. I keep putting it the wrong way. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna say, yep. This envelope I'm sending you is full of love, baby. That's cute. And it's funny because I didn't even think about the little decorated envelopes until I was filming this video. So, inspiration on the fly. My friends, you saw it here first. I don't know why I keep grabbing that from the wrong side. It must be time for bed. Okay. That is freaking cute. Right? Look at that. Adorable. Alright, so I'm going to put some hearts on the inside, as per norm at this point. Alright, here we go. I really hope you cannot hear my son. His bedroom is right above my office and craft room, and he is playing a video game, screaming in what sounds like a Mickey Mouse voice. So I hope you don't hear that, but if you do, he's having fun up there. So, all right, there we go. Okay, and let's put one of these little tiny guys on there. All right. There's the card. Here's our inside and our front. Super cute. And let's see, maybe we want to put, I don't know, let's just put hearts on the front, because I was gonna say we could put an envelope like this on the front, but I don't know how that would hold up in shipping if somebody's gonna mail this, and it might have to be hand stamped, or it might get tore up in the machine, so we'll just stick to our regularly scheduled program for the envelope here. All right. Super cute. Whoop. All right, friends. This is super cute. Here we are. And whoop! Just threw stuff on the floor. That's normal. All right, and then here's our other one that we made together. Look at how cute that is. And here's the other ones. We made this one, right? Here's the ones I made earlier. And some of these, right? Super cute. I have some other Valentine paper. I'm gonna make some little photo albums, and then with the scraps I'm gonna be making some more cards. So stay tuned for that, because it's really some beautiful paper. And yeah, This was really fun. I hope you're inspired and got some ideas. If you have anything you want to share, any ideas or tips and hints, anything like that, feel free to do so. I always love to share information, so go ahead and do that if you want or if you can. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.